After the fumble, he comes over to Andy. He goes, keep me in. What happened is, on the fumble, he was not in the game.
Missed on that interception early in the game, was there on the coverage.
Kelce saying that they turned him and hooked him away from the ball right there.
The hidden truth about Travis Kelce nobody is noticing. Even at 35 years old, Travis Kelce continues to turn heads and set records. In the Kansas City Chiefs' Week 17 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he surpassed fellow legendary tight end Tony Gonzalez for the most receiving touchdowns in franchise history. Along with this, he became the first pass catcher in NFL history to have 90 or more receptions in 7 straight seasons. Today, we're going to break down Kelce's entire career up to this point and compare him to some of the best tight ends of all time to uncover the hidden truth about him that nobody is noticing. What scouts thought about him coming into the league. Heading into the 2013 draft, scouts were very high on Kelce, with NFL.com ranking him at the second best tight end in the entire class. One analyst was quoted as saying, "Kelce has been a tremendous run blocker throughout this career for the Bearcats, but really elevated his games as a receiver in his senior season. He isn't a tremendous athlete, but he does a lot of things very well. It's a deep tight end class, but Kelce's play suggests that he should be highly sought after." Interestingly, many were comparing him to Rob Gronkowski leading up to the draft, hitting the nail right on the head, and a comparison that is still being made to this day. Draft day. However, Draft day did not go nearly as well for Kelce as scouts had projected. He wound up being the 5th tight end off of the board, with Tyler Eifert, Zach Ertz, Gavin Escobar, and Vance McDonald all being selected in front of him. But this would end up being a blessing in disguise for the then rookie tight end, as the Kansas City Chiefs selected him with the 63rd overall pick. Slow start to his NFL career. Things got off to a slow start for Kelce on the Chiefs. In his rookie season, he only saw the field in 1 game and didn't receive a single target the entire season. This was very concerning with Kelce being a 3rd-round pick. It was expected that he would be able to earn some time on the field relatively easily by the end of the year. The following season, he was finally given an opportunity to prove himself on the field. Kelce saw the field in all 16 games and even started in 11 of them. He immediately established himself as a very promising young talent, racking up 67 catches for 862 yards and 5 touchdowns on the season. It was quickly becoming clear that Kansas City had found their tight end of the future, becoming the best tight end in the league. In the 2015 season, many around the league were taking notice of Kelce, and he was quickly becoming known as one of the best players at his position in the entire league. He took over as the team's full-time starter, starting in all 16 games that he played in. He put up very similar numbers to the year prior, pulling in 72 passes for 875 yards and 5 touchdowns. However, this time he earned a spot in the Pro Bowl for the first time in his career. Along with this, the Chiefs made the playoffs for the first time in Kelce's career. In his postseason debut against the Houston Texans in the wildcard round, he showed out, recording 8 catches for 128 yards, leading the team in both metrics. This was a dominant win for Kansas City, taking the game by a final score of 30-0. In the divisional round, they took on the New England Patriots. Kelce was able to make 6 catches but only turned them into 23 yards. The Chiefs met their matchup in this contest and fell 27-20. The following year, Kelce broke out and arguably took the throne as the league's top tight end. He made 85 catches for 1,125 yards and 4 touchdowns, marking his first 1,000-yard season. He made a return to the Pro Bowl and was also named to the All-Pro First Team for the first time in his career. Kansas City made the postseason, where they took on the Pittsburgh Steelers in the divisional round. He had a strong showing, making 5 catches for 77 yards, but it was not enough to lead his team to victory, and the Chiefs had their season ended with a tight 18-16 loss. He continued improving year after year, turning 83 catches into 1,038 yards and 8 touchdowns in the 2017 season. This earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl and on the All-Pro second team. In the postseason, the Chiefs matched up against the Tennessee Titans in the wild-card round. Kelce had a great game where he recorded 4 catches for 66 yards and a touchdown. However, Kansas City was once again barely defeated, this time by a final score of 22-21. The 2018 season marked the first year in which Patrick Mahomes took over as the team's starting quarterback. Kelce and his new quarterback immediately hit it off, and it quickly became clear that their on-the-field chemistry was going to make them one of the most elite duos the league had to offer. This was a big year for Kelce, recording 100 catches and double-digit touchdowns for the first time in his career. He ended the season with 103 receptions, 1,336 yards, and 10 touchdowns, earning him a spot in the Pro Bowl and on the All-Pro First Team. In the divisional round, they took on the Indianapolis Colts, where Kelce took over with a 7-catch, 108-yard performance and the dominant 31-13 win. In the AFC Championship, they took on the New England Patriots. He was held in check, making only 3 catches for 23 yards, but was able to find the end zone once. Kansas City was narrowly defeated, being sent home by a final score of 37-31. Kelce remained the king of the tight end position in 2019, despite taking a slight step back statistically. He finished the year with 97 catches for 1,229 yards and 5 touchdowns, making the Pro Bowl in the All-Pro Second Team. In the divisional round, they faced off against the Houston Texans in an absolute shootout. Kelce had a dominant performance, making 10 catches for 134 yards and 3 touchdowns in the 51-31 shootout victory. In the AFC Championship, they took on the Tennessee Titans. Despite his incredible game the round prior, Kelce struggled to have an effect on this game, finishing the contest with only 3 catches for 30 yards. Even without their star tight end playing his best, Kansas City was able to still win 35-24. This punched their ticket to the Super Bowl, where they took on the San Francisco 49ers. He had a very strong showing in which he pulled in all 6 of his targets for 43 yards and a touchdown. The Chiefs took the game by a final score of 31-20, making Kelce a Super Bowl champion for the first time in his career. In 2020, Kelce had the best individual season of his entire career. He finished his campaign with 105 catches for 1,416 yards and 11 touchdowns, setting a career high in receiving yards. Unsurprisingly, this earned him a Pro Bowl and All-Pro First Team selection. Along with this, he finished 4th in the Offensive Player of the Year voting. In the divisional round, Kansas City took on the Cleveland Browns. Kelce took over in this matchup, making 8 catches for 109 yards and a touchdown. This game came down to the wire, and the Chiefs were able to narrowly escape with a 22-17 win. In the AFC Championship, they faced off against the Buffalo Bills. Kelce continued his elite tear, pulling in 13 passes for 118 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Kansas City easily took this game 38-24. This earned them a return to the Super Bowl, where they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kelce did his part, making 10 catches for 133 yards, but the Chiefs were shocked and suffered a crushing 31-9 loss. In the 2021 season, Kelce had one of the best games of his career in Week 15 in a game against the Los Angeles Chargers. He could not be stopped in this matchup, finishing the game with 10 catches for 191 yards and a pair of touchdowns, setting a career high in receiving yards. He had another strong regular season in which he posted 92 catches for 1,125 yards and 9 touchdowns, receiving both Pro Bowl and All-Pro Second Team nominations. In the wildcard round, they took on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kelce was everywhere in this game, going for 108 yards and a touchdown on only 5 catches, while also throwing for a 2-yard score in the dominant 42-21 win. They played the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round, where Kelce had another strong showing, pulling in 8 passes for 96 yards and a score. The Chiefs escaped with a 42-36 win. In the AFC Championship, they faced off against the Cincinnati Bengals. He was able to make 10 catches for 95 yards and a score in this matchup, but the Chiefs found themselves on the wrong side of an overtime thriller, and their season ended with a 27-24 loss. Continuing to perform in the golden years of his career. Despite being 33 years old heading into the 2022 season, Kelce was still continuing to beat Father Time and hold on to his title as the best tight end in the league. He had one of the most impressive performances of his entire career this year in a Week 5 game against the Las Vegas Raiders. Kelce put the Chiefs' offense on his back. While he finished the game with only 25 receiving yards, he was able to find the end zone 4 times on 7 catches, meaning every time he caught the ball this game, there was a greater chance that he scored than didn't. Kansas City needed every score they got out of him in this matchup, narrowly escaping with a 30-29 win, setting a single-game high in receiving touchdowns. Kelce had an elite 2022 campaign, pulling in 110 catches for 1,338 yards and 12 touchdowns, setting career highs in both receptions and receiving touchdowns. This earned him a spot in the Pro Bowl, on the All-Pro First Team, and ranked 6th in Offensive Player of the Year voting. They started their playoff run in the divisional round against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kelce showed out, recording 14 receptions for 98 yards and a pair of touchdowns, tying a career high in receptions in the 27-20 win. In the AFC Championship, they had a rematch against the Cincinnati Bengals. Kelce did his part, pulling in 7 of his 8 targets for 78 yards and a touchdown. This was a game that came down to the wire, with Kansas City narrowly escaping with a 23-20 win, with Harrison Butker making a 45-yard field goal as time expired. This earned them a trip to the Super Bowl, where he took on his brother Jason in the Philadelphia Eagles. Kelce led the Chiefs' receiving efforts with 6 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown. Once again, this game came down to a last-second field goal, with Butler converting again, this time from 27 yards out with 8 seconds left in regulation, giving Kelce his 2nd Super Bowl ring. The 2023 season saw Kelce take a bit of a step back, marking the first time he had less than 1,000 receiving yards since 2015. Despite this, he still put up very strong receiving numbers, especially for a tight end, ending the regular season with 93 catches, 984 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Despite this large dip statistically, he still earned a spot in the Pro Bowl. The Chiefs made a return to the postseason, starting off their run with the wildcard matchup against the Miami Dolphins. He did his part, making 7 catches for 71 yards in the dominant 26-7 win. In the divisional round against the Buffalo Bills, Kelce stepped up in a huge way, going for 75 yards and a pair of touchdowns on 5 catches. These 2 scores were crucial in keeping their season alive, with Kansas City taking the game 27-24. This gave them an AFC Championship berth, where they took on the Baltimore Ravens. Kelce had his best game of the postseason, making 11 catches for 116 yards and a score. Once again, the Chiefs could not have won this game without their veteran tight end, taking the game 17-10. In the Super Bowl, they had a rematch against the San Francisco 49ers. While he failed to find the end zone, Kelce couldn't be contained, going for 93 yards on 9 catches in this overtime thriller. Kansas City rose above in OT, and Kelce won his 3rd Super Bowl by a final score of 25-22. This season, Kelce has continued to slow down as he hit 35 years old this year. Despite this, he still has performed at a high level for a tight end, especially one as old as him. With the Chiefs resting their starters in the final week of the 2024 regular season, Kelce ended the year with 97 catches for 823 yards and 3 scores. He had an elite game in the team's Week 9 matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kelce tied a career high in single-game receptions with 14, while picking up 100 yards in the 30-24 win. How does Travis Kelce stack up against some of the other GOATs at the tight end position? After going through the story of Kelce's NFL career on the field up to this point, it is undeniable that he is one of the best to ever play the tight end position. However, this raises the question of how does he stack up to some of the other GOATs at his position? For this, we took the stats of Rob Gronkowski, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates, and Shannon Sharpe. When breaking down their career numbers, we looked at receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns on a total and per-game basis. For totals, Gonzalez leads the pack in both receptions and receiving yards, while Gates takes first in receiving touchdowns. However, when moving on to per game, Kelce leads in receptions, while Gronkowski takes gold in yards and touchdowns. Along with this, we looked at accolades as well. All 5 of these players will likely wind up in the Hall of Fame if they're not in there already. Gronk leads the Super Bowl count with 4, while Gonzalez has made the most Pro Bowl and All-Pro appearances with 14 and 10 respectively. The hidden truth about Travis Kelce nobody is noticing. While Kelce does not lead in many statistical categories or accolades, it is very tough to keep him out of the GOAT conversation when discussing the tight end position. He is near first in almost every category we discussed, ranking 2nd in total receptions, receiving yards, and 4th in receiving touchdowns. On a per-game basis, he took 1st in receptions, receiving yards, and 3rd in touchdowns. Finally, he finished second in Super Bowls, second in Pro Bowls, and second in All-Pro appearances. The thing is, Kelce is still going, and it appears as if he has more in the tank. While it's clear that he's slowing down, he's still one of the league's top tight ends. By the time it's all said and done, it will be very difficult to look at him as anything less than the best tight end to ever play the game.